Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ducky, your game player and host, and this is the game Starsector. If you're new to the game, this video is for you. In this video, we are going to be covering how to safely and easily make money in the early game so that you can buy the ships, weapons, and items that you want as you play. Let's jump right in. We're going to go New Game, randomize our portrait, and we're going to name ourselves Tutorial 2026 and hit Continue. Okay, this stuff, you can pick whatever you want here. We are, for the purpose of this video, going to just pick the Bounty Hunter start with the Drone Tender. And I'm going to play on normal, but if you're very new to the game, there's nothing wrong with playing on easy. I did that for about a year when I was learning how to play, so no judgment. Play easy if you're struggling on normal. It's okay. And for the purpose of the video, I'm going to skip the tutorial. I assume you've already played it. It's a very good tutorial. If you haven't played it yet and you're new to the game, you should play the tutorial. We're going to skip that for the purpose of the video. Mr. Tutorial here is going to take navigation. Why are we taking navigation? Because it unlocks the transverse jump ability, which I'll cover once we load in. Alright, so for non-combat play, down here in the hotbar you have this purple button if you chose to start with navigation. And this is transverse jump. What it's going to allow us to do is we click on it and we go from the local solar system map and it warps us out into hyperspace. Now, once in hyperspace, you can go over these grav wells and you can hit transverse jump and it'll take you back in. Very convenient. So this means that your fleet is not bound to leaving and entering systems through jump points, which is going to be safer, useful for stealth, and just save you game time as you play. But how did I used to make money in the early game before I was decent at combat, before I knew all the other systems in the game? Well, it's very simple. The ships I started with, these don't matter. You can take your starter ships, go over to the abandoned terraforming platform, and I'll show you a trick. So there are a few places in the game that are usable as free storage. No one will steal your stuff, that kind of thing. The one I always use is in Corvus, right here. Abandoned terraforming platform next to a Sharu. You can go in here, and you can put your ships into storage. You can't put your last ship in, so we're actually going to pull out the starter shuttle here, put the drone tender in storage, and we're going to hop in the starter shuttle. That's fine. And when we go over to our inventory screen by clicking Inspect Cargo Storage, you'll note we're kind of in the red. We have too much of everything now because we've lowered our cargo capacity. Let's just drop off all those items in storage. You can come back and pull this stuff out. You can pull your ships back out later. It costs no credits. Highly recommend using the storage. We'll go over to a Sharu, or any planet really. What we're looking for is Dram, this little guy. And it would be ideal if it didn't have D mods, those orange markers. So let's buy the pristine one. That's fine. And we're going to sell or scuttle. Doesn't really matter. We'll scuttle for the bonus supplies and fuel. We'll scuttle our shuttle that we used to get here, hop in to the Dram, and then sell off our excess supplies and stuff. Okay, now we're going to fill the Dram up with fuel. So, independent planet of Asharu has 200 fuel. Grab it all. And at this point, I'm going to pause, and I'm going to save the game. Because obviously, in a single fuel tanker, if we get into combat, we're going to lose. And we don't want that. It's totally okay to save your game, reload your game as needed. I would rather that people reloaded their save than restarting their entire run. You do not have to play on Iron Man like I sometimes do. That comes later, if you feel you want the challenge. Okay, so at Jangala, the Gemini planet, there's 1,000 fuel. We're just going to hold control and left click, and that's going to max us out. So we now have 300 fuel. Now, why are we in a tanker with a lot of fuel? Well, we're going to get to that. But before we leave Jangala, open the comm directory, go to the station commander, and say, I'd like to be commissioned by the hegemony. If you're playing without mods, which I assume you are, because this is a beginner tutorial, you begin the game with 15 reputation points with the hegemony, which will allow you to be commissioned by them. Their enemies become your enemies, and they will pay you 25k a month just to sit. Just to do nothing. So, accept the commission. That money is going to be rolling in all the time now. As we're doing other things that make money, we're going to be getting commission money. So if we go over to the command screen, the income tab, after a month rolls over, we're going to get some data here. We'll come back to that. I didn't realize it didn't populate at the start of the game. Okay, transverse jump out, turn off your transponder, very important. We don't want anyone to know who we are out in hyperspace, don't want to get pirated. Then we're going to open the exploration tab. Usually in this tab, there's a mission, an analyzed derelict ship or some other similar kind of thing. And that mission is what we're going to take. We're going to take this mission from the hegemony to go out and find a derelict probe somewhere far away. Now, how do we know that we can get from where we are, which is over there on the cursor all the way to over yon across the sector. There's a button called Show Fuel Range up here. Highly recommend clicking. Okay, so as long as you're deep in the orange with fuel range, you can go anywhere and be able to come back to the core worlds. This is actually why we're in a single dram full of fuel. Because as long as you keep it topped off, you'll be able to go anywhere and do a trip out and then a trip back to the core worlds to buy more fuel. So let's go hit the Show on Map button in the bottom right, and we're going to right click on the star where the mission is at, and then begin flying. Now, it's very important when flying the single dram like this that you don't hit hyperspace storms, which are these big, glowy blue things. See them flickering as we move? You don't want to fly into those. If you do need to fly through them, hold the S key on your keyboard to slow down and you won't take damage. But because the dram has such a small cargo space, our amount of supplies we can carry for repairs is very limited, so a couple storms and you will just find yourself out of supplies, cannibalizing your ship to keep flying, and that'll be bad. So take however much time you need and don't hit the storms. That's how it has to be done if you want to do this safely. And the shift button on your keyboard should be the default button to speed up time. It makes the game run at 2x speed. Highly recommend that once you're comfortable flying around. Now, the downside of this method, although it is a fairly safe way to make money, is it does take time. We're at about 9 minutes on the recording clock, and as you can see, we still do not have big money. That's okay. Making money fast is a lot harder than making money slow and steady, and comes with more risk. Back when I started playing Starsector, this was basically all I did. I flew around in tiny ships, I did these various scouting missions, and then I bought entire fleets, tried to fight with them, and realized that I needed to learn combat. So if you're struggling with other parts of the game, you can always fall back on doing these exploration missions like this to regenerate your cash supply. And there we go, there's our first monthly income. 32k for doing nothing is not bad. Let's see here, income tab. So, Hegemony Commission, 17k. Stipend from Galatia Academy, which will be with you for the first 3 years of play, 15k. And then running our ship, minus 130, very small. So if you didn't want to actively play the game, you could probably just take your ship, load it with supplies, and go dark in an asteroid belt somewhere. Just let the game run while you go and do other things, and your commission payments would still come in. You could make money that way. There's no real downside to doing so, but it's not actively playing the game. And when I sit down to play Starsector, I am here to play. I don't want to just walk away and have free money, but it's an option. If you want the easiest money, that would be my suggestion. All right, we're in system. Now we have to find the probe. If we look at our mission, you'll note it has a hint. The ship is located some distance away from the center of the star system. So it's not going to be close to the big orange dot, which is the sun. So when you're out looking like this, your best friend is the active sensor burst button. Click it, and you'll note in the bottom right, Editor Ducky, zoom in on that in post, there were a bunch of signals that popped up. Any one of those could be our mission target. So let's fly around slow and careful. Oop, that's a pirate fleet doing some fighting or something in there. We don't want that. Because we are a very small ship, kind of hard to detect. That can work out in your favor. Remember to save often. I'm actually going to hit F5 and quick save now, just in case. If you need more supplies and fuel, any kind of floating ship can be salvaged for just a little bit of stuff. That'll get me more supplies than I can carry. We'll take those. If you're over on supplies, you'll get this orange message, and it's going to say you're going to consume extra supplies. That's okay, because we have so many. Okay, sensor ping again. There's some stuff close to the star we're going to check out just because it's there. But I think all those pings that were near where we were investigating were just debris from that battle. And everything you find out here, you can salvage, but when you're flying the Dram, you don't have a lot of cargo capacity to work with. You have 15. So I would come back with more cargo ships before you start scraping up all this salvage. If I get lucky and I see a floating cargo ship like a Wayfarer or something, I might actually recover it just to be able to carry home some loot, but that comes later. All right, we've flown around a bit. We haven't seen our thing yet. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff up by the jump point though. Is that another battle site? Oh, there it is. Okay, so 2 things. That is our target. That's the Wolf frigate that we need to scan. That fleet that moved as I approached is now pursuing. They have turned pirate. They want our blood. Can we scan the thing? No. Pause. So what do we do in this situation? They're very big. Their maximum burn is 6. We have a maximum listed burn of 9. If we were both accelerating along the same vector, we could easily escape. But since we're not, we're going to hit the emergency burn button while paused. Then I'm going to click and hold toward the bottom of the screen, and we're going to fly away really fast, like so. Away, 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 away. And from here, there's not a lot of cover in this system out in the edges, so we're going to go back toward the asteroid belt. Hit the number 2 key to go dark and lower your sensor profile. and move over to hide in the asteroid belt to be even more stealthy. Without Go Dark enabled, we have a 360 point sensor profile. When we hit Go Dark, that profile drops to 180, which is very small. And then when we fly into the asteroid belt, our profile drops to 45, which is nigh undetectable. Important to know how to do the stealth mechanics if you need them in situations like this. My preference, of course, is to run... Oh, see, there they are. You can see on screen here, there they are, and there's this kind of line here. That's their sensor range. That's how far they can see. So even though we can see them, because we have a sensor range of 315, our profile is 180, they can't detect us. So we're going to hope that they don't loop back toward our target. Oop, they did a sensor ping. That's awkward. Let's loop over to the left, watching their little dot kind of chase me. Oop, we're not in range of their sensors. As long as we're undetected at the moment we click on our target for our mission, we can run the sensor package. Bam, immediate 80k for a little bit of stealth gameplay. And then instead of exploring the derelict, we're going to hit leave. We're just going to go away. Because what can happen? Now that we have touched on all of these and discovered them, factions may hire us to go analyze these same ships again. So there's no downside to leaving them up. Okay, they're chasing me, I think. We're just going to burn away again. Use emergency burn, it's fine. So in the very early game, if I wanted to chill and farm explore missions, I would leave all of the derelicts in place. So now we've done our mission, and we're going to go back to Corvus. And just from flying around, from doing all of that, we got 40k roughly in income coming in each month, and we have 160k, which is enough to buy 3 or 4 combat frigates and maybe move on to attempting your very first bounty hunt or something. Or you can do what I used to do and just play explore missions for an hour or two, and you're going to have maybe $500,000 or $1 million in your pocket, ready to buy a whole fleet or hire some officers or whatever it is you want to do in the game. The other thing to note is we're far away from civilization, so our exploration tab is not actually populating with new missions, nor is our bounty tab. All those bounties are about to expire. So to get more missions, you do have to fly near what's called a comm relay, which most civilized systems in the core worlds do have, which is why I just kind of default to flying back there. An enterprising captain might instead build a comm relay at their location and be able to receive new messages that way. So it is possible to get more exploration missions without flying home. It's also possible, I'll show you if enough missions appear, it's possible to queue up 4 or 5 exploration missions at once and go on a big circle of the map and do them all. That can rack up, 250, 300k in one rotation of doing explore missions. Context, if you're not familiar with kind of the prices of things, a capital ship in this game will run you between 200k for the cheapest pirate thing, all the way up to about 1 million credits. So if you're trying to put together a fleet, that kind of gives you an idea of what the most expensive piece would be. That said, you don't need to have capital ships or even cruisers to go through most of the game's content. You can in fact play as a handful of stealthy ships, you could play a small fleet composed mostly of destroyers, there's lots of options. We may talk about some of those options in a future video. Alright, we're back, and so this chunk of messages that just appeared, that's what happens when you get in range of a comm relay. So now there's another explore mission that will take us to another part of the Persean sector. The ship is orbiting an inactive gate, which that would be a very easy one to take. But let's go back on in to Corvus for a second and go to Jangala. So that mission, I'm not going to go do it because it's going to be the same loop you just saw. You've already seen me do 1, you don't need to see me do 10. But when it says orbiting an inactive gate, that's this circular thing here on the map. And when you go into a system, they normally are immediately discovered. So this mission orbiting an inactive gate would be very easy money, because you would just go to the system, it would tell you where the gate is, and you could go and get the goods. But we've resupplied, we've refueled, and we still have 200k to play with, and more money on the way as we continue to play. So I'm going to go back over to the storage platform, and I think that's going to be it for this episode, for this tutorial. And I know the experienced players who for some reason watched this video are going, but Ducky, there are many other ways to make money that are faster. I know, there are many other ways to make money that are probably faster. But safe, easy money, this is my preferred method to hand to a new player that doesn't want to do combat at all and just wants to get some starting cash and not die, because that is exactly where I was when I started playing this game about 3 years ago. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I will see you all in the next video. There will be more tutorials to come before I start my next campaign series. If you have any game questions that you'd like me to address, Oh, we've been engaged by a Persian League trader. How awkward. If you have any game questions that you'd like me to make videos on or address, please let me know down in the comments, and I will add it to the pile and consider it. So, with that, we'll leave you guys here, and I'm going to go deal with this situation, and catch you all next time.